All right, let's look at the characteristics of unhealthy dependent relationships. Let's see how many you got. First one, survey says, they feel totally lost without you. If you don't have that one written down, go ahead and write it down on your notes or off to the side. And these are kind of my top 10 that I've seen over and over and over again. Lost without you. Number 2, other friendships suffer. Now, nobody mentioned this, but oftentimes what happens is you quit having friends of the same sex. So guys, like if you're totally whipped, you like abandon all your friendships with the guys that you hang out with just for this girl. Guys, by the way, are a little more forgiving about that. So when you come back to the fold, they're going, that's cool, dude, we get it, yeah, you were whipped, you come back. Girls can be much different. You like reject the, the group of girls you've been hanging with because you're hanging out with Henry all the time. It might cost you to get back into the group. Like, yeah, we'll think about it. All of a sudden you're not invited to the beach anymore, and like, I know you're with Henry all the time. So girls may exact a little more punishment on you coming back to the fold. Just an observation. Guys are like, yeah, whatever, I'm just good. All right, other friendships suffer. Number 3, mad jealousy. I mean, mad jealousy. I mean, like, you just even think about looking at another girl, guys, and she's just all over you, like, that kind of thing. Now, guys, girls, we do have to admit, guys can be a little sly on that, right? So they're with you, they're kind of doing this, looking past you, looking over here. And by the way, looking isn't the problem. Lusting is the problem. That's a whole other discussion when we get to sex here in just a bit. But a guy who's with you shouldn't be making you feel insecure because he's always got eyes for some other girl. That's not a healthy relationship. Now, that doesn't mean he's just doing this. And if he starts drooling, run. But the bottom line is, guys are physical beings. They're attracted through the sight lines. And so girls, if you draw attention to yourself, guys are going to check it out, right? Now you say, guys, they're such pervs. We should not have to deal with these pervert boys that are checking us out. I could suggest that girls, maybe you draw less attention to yourself by being careful how you dress. All right? Yeah. That's just an idea. So something to think about. Why do you think guys, wear sunglasses at the beach? It's not to protect their eyes, it's so they can see the landscape, ladies. So they can see the landscape. You just want to see. Now, some guys would say this in a dating relationship. Say they're dating. They would say, just because you got your money on one horse doesn't mean you can't watch the race. Now, I would say that's a worldly. I just gave these guys a line. I'm sorry. By the way, to that degree, we do not go home. Do you know what Pastor Erwin said about horse racing? We'll just leave it there. All right, man. You are a really fun group. Compared to last year's group, this is very fun. All right. He says that every summer. Okay. Mad jealousy. Number 4, loss of independent decision making. All right. Yeah, that whipped. You can put whipped in parentheses. Wrap around your little finger. All right. Can't make any decision without the other person. All right. And all the guys can do that one last time out loud in use before the camera with a little whip sound. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh. Ooh, got it live here on Chinese TV. Here we go. By the way, does anybody take this other than kids from China online? Anybody can take it online. Okay. Sorry for those of you listening from Westlake. I'll go to the Westlake story soon. All right. Loss of independence. Excessive PDA. Good job. You got that one. Next one. Next one. Next one. Oh, there's your oh, just come up here for the camera. That was too good. All right, excessive PDA, loss of independence. This whole idea of being whipped. Here we go. Very good. Where do people come up with these apps? All right. What's our next one? Anything after that? All right, distracted. So when I started dating Cheryl, I was 16, she was 14, I had a 4.0. That was all the way through the spring semester of my junior year, and then I got 1 B that year. I got a B in Spanish, I blamed it all on her. My dad was one of those guys like, you got a B? What's wrong with you? Now, hopefully you don't have parents like, maybe you do, huh? Anybody who gets a B, like, you're dead? All right? Okay. Hey, by the way, living with our two girls, they have like zero tolerance for anything other than A's, right? And it's like, they don't get an A, they're just in morbid depression, and it's very difficult. Now, the funny thing is, I can never quite understand because they're speaking Mandarin and they're Skyping with Mom, but I can tell by the intensity that sometimes maybe this isn't going as well as they thought. All right? Just an idea. All right, so distracted, constant conflict. All right, they're fighting all the time. They can't get along. Now, just on a serious note, some of you, how many of you are actually in a relationship with somebody right now? I'm not going to embarrass you. Are they in the room together? Extra credit if I can get you on the screen.
No.
No. Okay.
Oh, come on.
All right. All right. So here's the deal. Just a question. No one will see your faces. How long have you guys been dating? 7 weeks. All right. So it started right before school got out in May. It continues into the summer. See, you're doing much better. Mine lasted 3 days. School's out. I'm done. It was 8th grade. We're over. So one of the things I'd ask you to do is look at your relationship and how much of this is true of you. If it's not true, then good. If you have like 1 or 2 of those things, you're saying, hey, maybe we should talk about that part. And we're not going to ask you to evaluate and then give yourselves a score from so you're safe. All right? Thank you, thank you. Now all the guys are going, yeah, do it. Let's hear the score. All right. Constant conflict. Is there anything else? Yes. All right. Totally a mess. That means like they are inseparable. All right. They have no distinct personality. They can't make any decisions, like we said, without the other person having to be involved in that.
So
all right.
They're not their own person.
They're just not their own person at all. At all. Okay. Okay. Anything else? They are in. Okay. We'll go to cause in a second. Back that up. Okay. Now, the question is, if we want to be in a healthy relationship, and we see how all these relationships over here are jacked up with these kinds of characteristics, you want to ask yourself, why? How does someone end up in an unhealthy, dependent, abusive relationship? How does that happen? For instance, this story has been multiplied multiple times over my years of counseling. College girl comes in to see me. She's not sure she should stay with this guy. And I go, well, why do you want to not stay with him? Well, he's cheating on me. I would say, Earth to Monica, let me just clarify something. He's cheating on you as in currently? No, not today. Well, like last week? Yeah, and that was the first time, right? Oh, no. Like this has happened multiple times? Uh-huh. And you're asking me why you feel insecure in this relationship. I'm just getting the story here. Now, most of you are looking at this, like you're like these, if I could get you on camera, you're like, what's wrong with this girl? Like, hello? Like, drop the guy, right? And one of the issues is, for some people, they'll stay in a relationship for what reason?
Popularity.
Sex. Other than that one, maybe they're staying in a relationship. Look at the first one. It leads me to my first answer. First cause of this is they're insecure. They have a poor self-image. Right? So poor self-image. So sometimes you stay in a relationship just because you're insecure and you're not sure what you're worth. Maybe you've come from a, we'll talk about this in a little bit about your family, but they have a poor self-image. All right? So what seems obvious to their friends doesn't seem obvious to them. Like, this guy's cheating on you. This is bad news. Dump the dude. All right? You deserve better than that. And your girlfriends tell you that, and the girl goes, no, he loves me. Really? If he loves you, then why is he cheating on you? I'm sure it's my fault. Oh, that's even more insidious when he uses you and blames you for why he's cheating on you. Do you see how twisted that is? And you say, that doesn't happen. I am telling you for a fact. It's happened so many times, I can't tell you how many times it's happened. All right? And it's like, they're in the, you want to take them, you want to just take them and go, what's wrong with you? You know, and you want to shake them, right? I'm not suggesting you're in an unhealthy dependent relationship. Just, you were smiling. There you go. All right. Number 2, past abusive relationships. Some people only know one kind of relationship. Abused, twisted, and wrong. All right? And so they're in this controlling, manipulative relationship. And quite frankly, look at this second statement. Their fear of not finding someone else is worse. You know, they'd rather be in a bad relationship than having no relationship. Now I want you to think about that for a second. If you ever stayed in a relationship, even though it wasn't healthy, it wasn't good for you, it was bad, you might ask yourself, did I stay in that because I can't be alone? There's a song that's real old now, it's called Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. And ladies, I want to tell you just for a moment here. I'm the father of a daughter who's almost 30 and a son who's 28. Daughter's married, son's in a committed relationship with a girl. They'll probably get married sometime in the future. Right? Daughter got married 7 years ago, so she was 22 when she got married. Met him in college, got friends in college, dated the sophomore year. He, asked me if he could marry her after junior year, and I'll tell you that story to have the whole day here today. But I can tell you something. My daughter and son, I'm not bragging, has seen what a healthy relationship and marriage is like. Through the thicks and thins of life, my wife and I have been committed for 35 plus years and dated for 6. I actually broke up a little bit in the middle there when we were in college just for about 18 months. But they've seen that. So my daughter received appropriate affection from her mom and I growing up, and part of being a dad is helping her understand what she's looking for in a husband. I made her read all these books like I Kissed Dating Goodbye and Handling Your Hormones and all these books. She had to read. In fact, she was one of those readers. Like, she's 5 years old, she wants to be reading, even though she doesn't know what she's reading. She's reading, right? So I told her she couldn't go out until she had read certain books, and for sure it's not going to be until like she's 16, 17, 18. I told her 32, but would settle for 16. So she's like 12, 13 years old, and she's reading these books, right? And so she was reading, she was doing a lot. She knew what she was looking for. She didn't really, this is an interesting fact, she didn't really date in high school. She had a little, like, 6-month relationship her senior year with a guy who was a junior in high school. And it ended because she went off to college, she's still in high school. Which, by the way, that's when I broke up with my now wife, but when we were in high school, when I went off to college and she was still in high school, kind of ended the relationship for a few years until she got to college, because no respecting college guy is going to be dating a high school junior. That just doesn't look good for the credibility. No, that's just crazy. But we were far away, so that's why we broke up. So Katie didn't really seriously date only 2 boys in her entire life, right? And when she decided that this was the guy for her, she made him come and talk to me about getting married. That was part of the deal. Before anybody marries you, they got to come through me and they got to ask. Now, of course, he comes and talks. I've got a gun on my hip here. No, it's not intimidating. But I love the way he proposed to her. For instance, so when I talk about the kind of relationship that's healthy, that is not because of a poor self-image or abusive relationship, I'm talking about Katie and Ryan, for instance. So, well, I'll tell you the story later, because I'll save it for the end, but it was a cool story. Number 3, dysfunctional family. Another reason why people in these kind of relationships is they're just totally jacked up. They come from a dysfunctional family, okay? And they haven't seen stability, they haven't seen love, they haven't seen healthy relationship. And number 4, immaturity. They're just immature. They're just immature. And I think on your notes there, I still have 5 blanks, but there's only 4. So you can make up your own cause for number 5 for extra credit. All right. By the way, anything else you see in why people are in unhealthy dependent relationships besides poor self-image, abusive relationships, dysfunctional family, and immaturity? Anything else that you've seen just in life? Yeah.
A change in personality.
Sometimes there's change in personality, and people actually go through some psychological issues that may cause them to be kind of wacky for a time. Okay? Good. All right. Let's look at the 4th. Yeah, did you have something else? Well, one thing is that I've seen girls that are in my family, cousins of mine, who didn't really have a father figure in their life, so they dated a lot of the wrong boys. Yeah, didn't have the father figure. That's kind of looking for love in all the wrong places, and that's part of why I think Katie, my daughter, did well. Two-parent, intact family, saw love, and had a father who invested in her. There's a book by a guy named Norm Wright. It's called Always Daddy's Girl. And this idea how the influence of a dad on a daughter and the influence on a mother on a son. And interesting enough, if you want to see how, the kind of word on the street is, if you want to see how a guy is going to treat you, look at what his relationship is with his mom, all right? If you want to see a wife, what was her relationship with her father? And opposite sex parenting role gives you a clue as to how they're going to behave down the road. Now, if you have girls, just let me calm me down here a second. If you have a totally jacked up dad and your relationship's tense, there's hope for you. It's not you're not going to be trapped like I'm going to continue the cycle. But you got to be aware of it. If your relationship with your dad is horrible, that's something you might want to think about. How do I work on that? Because I don't want to bring that baggage into a future relationship, especially into a marriage. All right. Okay. Danger sign number 4: confusing sex with intimacy. Confusing sex with intimacy. And this is a big one because we're such a sexualized society. And it's harder now than ever for men and women to be sexually pure and remain virgins before marriage. Both my wife and I were both virgins. I realized that, are you kidding me? Didn't you want to jump her? Of course I wanted to jump her. Of course I wanted to have sex with her. But I believe that waiting was what's best for us for 2 reasons. There are a lot of reasons, but number 1, biblically it's the right thing to do. Secondly, it was the right thing to do because we wanted to prove trust in our relationship and dating so that she didn't have to worry about whether I'm going to be checking out other women or bedding down with other women once we were married. Now, I know that seems a bit old-fashioned and antiquated, but let me tell you why. Number 1, when you are having sex with someone outside of marriage, that often clouds, put up the slide here. Oh, wait, before that, just a second, I'll tell you something. It often clouds all the other areas of the relationship because you're not seeing clearly. So do this for me. Put your hands over your eyes like this. Now, when I do that, I cannot really see clearly. I kind of look through the holes in my finger. I couldn't see, you very well at all. You can take your hands off. That's kind of what happens in relationship when you don't see clearly what's really going on in a relationship. For instance, that girl that's allowing a guy to cheat on her or he's abusive to her, and she says, but he loves me. It's oftentimes because they are in a highly sexualized relationship, and there's either guilt or unhealthy dependence that keeps her from saying, oh, wow, that guy is creepy. Why am I putting up with that? All right? So it clouds relationship. So let me illustrate how sex clouds a relationship. I'm going to do a little illustration here. There's going to be a paragraph that's going to come up on the screen. It's not on your notes. And all I want you to do is look at the paragraph and count, without telling anybody the answer, and don't sharing your answer, count the number of F's in this paragraph. You have 10 seconds. Go. Not those 2 F's, just in here. Do not say the answer out loud. Time's up. You get to vote. You can vote multiple times. How many count? Actually, hopefully you only vote once. How many count 3 F's? Raise your hands. Oh, very good. How many count 4 F's? How many count 5 F's? How many count 6 F's? How many count 7 F's? How many count 8 F's? All right? We'll see what the answer is. So, here's what's obvious. Next slide. Most of you caught these first 3. See, when you're having sex in a relationship, you're not seeing things are right before your eyes. Go to the next slide. They were always there, but you didn't see it. In the same way, those F's were there. I wasn't hiding the fact. You can count. So the answer is 6. For those of you who voted 6, that's the right answer. But that's what happens. When you're in a sexualized relationship, you don't see some of the things that are red flags to the relationship that were like danger, danger, like be careful about this, okay? Let's go to the next slide. So there's a lot of confusing issues with this. Where's your notes? Where's your page? So on the back side here, I'm going to talk about intimacy, so do not write these down. but you can see that there's a lot of issues with premarital sex. Now, I realize this isn't the sex talk, so I'm going to go very quickly. But 9 little known facts. Premarital sex often tends to break couples up. Number 2, many men don't want to marry someone who's had intercourse with someone else. Number 3, those who have had premarital sex tend to have less happy marriages. By the way, there's a whole lot of statistical and sociological information about cohabitation, because it's really cool, like, oh, let's just live together and we'll get married. I could show it to you. You can meet, if you ever come to me in pre-marriage counseling, I'll show you the research on cohabitation. That's not even from a biblical standpoint, it's just what's going on in our culture that they can tell you this. Number 4, those who've had premarital sex are more likely to have marriages that end in divorce. Persons and couples who've had premarital sex are more likely to have extramarital affairs. I can't tell you how often that's true. Next, having premarital sex may fool you into marrying a person who's not right for you. One of the concerns I have for someone who's sexually active is if they're blinded by things in relationship, they think they're in love, but they're really in lust. All right? Some would say they're in heat, maybe. Next, persons and couples with premarital sex experience seem to achieve sexual satisfaction sooner. That's the one positive. Yeah, but here's my answer to that. I've had 35 great years of practicing and getting better. Let me just tell you. We were virgins when we were married. I'm not going to go into the details of the privacy of our honeymoon, but I'm telling you, I am so glad that I didn't have some past sexual experiences to compare that experience to. That our first time was with each other. And I don't have any baggage that says, oh yeah, but so-and-so was so much hotter, or oh, that was a drag. All right? Next. However, they are more likely to be less satisfied overall with their sex life during marriage. And lastly, the poor premarital sexual habits can be carried over to spoil sex in marriage. That's speaking of this. A lot of times when you're having sex as teenagers, you're worried about 3 things. Number 1, what?
Babies.
Babies. Number 2? Number 2, babies, and babies. Okay, babies is number 1. Number 2 is what? STDs. And number 3? Mom and Dad walking in on us. Yeah, okay, that's number 3. So, oftentimes you end up having really bad sexual habits because it's rushed, it's nervous, it's tense, and it's horrible. Let me tell you something else. Everybody's going to tell you to use a condom. I can tell you for a fact, as a married man, using a condom is like kissing someone through a screen door. It is just not the same. All right? I'll just leave it at that. Some other day you can talk to the sex doctor. We can talk very frankly, but that's not really my area. All right? So there's some stuff on sex and intimacy. Now, let's wrap up by looking at this last section. So if you want intimacy, that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with wanting intimacy in relationships. Okay? And let's go to that. Let me show you this. I think it's like a 3-sided triangle. These are 3 things about intimacy that this is what you want in a relationship. Number 1, you want commitment. All right? Do you have a love that's going to last for a lifetime? Commitment. All right? And then, number 2, you want communication. Are you able to talk and listen to each other? That is so important to stay married over 35 years. And then lastly, you want companionship. Are you the best of friends? All right? Are you the best of friends? Now, this is where this will help you for your homework assignment. Note to self, this next section. So let's look at the ABCs of love. Before he puts them up there, I want to suggest to you, when you study the passage in 1 Corinthians 13, now you won't find these exact words, you're going to find these 5 ideas, all right? And you have to find out where I think I'm pulling that. That's part of the assignment. So, look at your notes. You see I blank, and then there's a sentence there. You're going to teach the rest of this class. So, what's the first A of the ABCs of love? I accept. All right, that's the first one. Put it down. I accept you just as you are. All right. What's the B? I what? Look at the sentence. I believe that you are valuable. Excellent work. Okay, I believe that you are valuable. What's the third one?
I care.
Very good. I care when you hurt. I care. All right. D.
I deserve.
Do, deserve, I desire. Very good. I desire the best for you. This is the hardest one. If you get this one, you win.
I explain. Excuse.
I erase. All right. I erase all offenses. By the way, if you excuse all offenses, then you're totally whipped. All right. You do forgive, but you got to be accountable. All right. Now, I said I'd close with a fun story. I want to tell you a story of my daughter's engagement, and we'll wrap up with this. So she's a junior in college, and she's going to graduate in the middle of her senior year, 3.5 years. So Ryan comes to me in January of her junior year and says,
Is there any way we can borrow Boris?
"Who?
Boris?
Boris?
Yeah.
Oh, that's up to the teacher. Bye, Boris. It's nice having you." That's on tape. Cut that, all right. So he comes to me and says, "I would like to propose." At first he asked permission. I said, "Sure. Why do you want to marry my daughter?" And he gave me all the good reasons. Okay, all right. So he says, "I'd like to propose to her in Hawaii when you guys go on your family vacation this summer." I said, "Oh, great idea." Because we had invited him to come. He goes, "However, we're going to tell Katie that I can't come to Hawaii." Ooh, intrigue is building. I said, "What do you have in mind?" "Let's tell her I can't come," because he comes from a family of 8 kids, that this is kind of my last summer, I want to do a camping trip, and it happened to be at the same time, I'm going to take my brothers camping, etc., etc. But actually, I'm going to fly there a day earlier, and I'll be there to propose. So you can start your married life on a lie. And I go, "I can." Okay, so he goes, "Yeah, we're just going to play a little trick on her." I said, "Okay." Now she's really bright. She's going to like check it out. So he did the whole thing. It's all set up. He's going to propose to her at the Hula Grill in Maui, right on the beach. And if you've ever been there, it's just the coolest restaurant.
Yeah.
So it's the day of our trip. We're leaving on Sunday. He shows up at our house on Saturday with his brothers in the van with ice chests, sleeping bags, lanterns, as if they're going camping. But she thinks, she goes, "Let me see your route." He'd even gotten a trip tip from Auto Club just to show the route that they're going to be taking. And actually all he's doing is the boys are taking him to the airport so he can get there a day before us. So he gets there a day early, stays with a friend. We fly in the next day. We had told our kids, "Let's go to dinner our first night out. We'll eat groceries the rest of the week, but let's go out tonight at the Hula Grill." "Oh, that sounds like a great place." What she doesn't know is he's made arrangements with the proprietor, the owner of the restaurant, to propose. They have live music, so when the band goes off for their first set, he's going to come on stage and sing to her. So, here's how it's all set up. So, we get there, we leave the kids at home, we go grocery shopping, and we're going to the Hula Grill. He is a nervous wreck. We're there about 4 o'clock. He is just like pacing, you know, he's got his stuff. We hide his stuff in our car because he's flown there a day earlier. Like, what are we doing with an extra suitcase? And he's made arrangements with the owner of the restaurant. He goes, "Oh, Mr. We've been expecting you. Here's what we're thinking in terms of the camera angle, because my wife's going to videotape us, all right? So we think you should be at this table. There's the stage. Here's a place where you can slip out. She'll never know you're there. You can film from here." And we're like, "Dang, this is good." They call a meeting of all the wait staff saying, at approximately 8:12, there's going to be an engagement here. You need to silence your tables so this guy can do his thing. And like, "Yes, sir." So it's all set up. So it's 8 o'clock. We get there. We're having appetizers. And the band goes off. We're not paying attention to the band. I'm a nervous wreck. John Daniel, we didn't tell what's going on till the day of, because this guy cannot keep a secret for the life of him, right? So then we finally fill in younger brother that, you know, so his role is to get her to come out onto the dance floor. So Ryan's getting up there, and he's singing this Ryan Benningfield song, "If You're Not the One," or Daniel Benningfield song, "If You're Not the One." He's singing it, he's killing it, it's awesome. She's not paying attention to him, so John's deal is to get her on the dance floor. "Come on, Katie, dance with me." He pulled her, so I can lose her brother, of course not. "Come on, Katie." So he pulls her out of the dance floor, he spins around, and all of a sudden, she sees Ryan on the stage singing. Now, she has not put 2 and 2 together. You can just see her little firstborn mind. She'll, "What are you doing here? Like, you're supposed to be with your brothers." You know, and then I have to, like, he kind of pushed her toward the stage, and I think it starts to dawn on her, like, "Ooh, this could be good," right? So he gets done singing the song, and here's Cheryl filming like, so she's like whimpering on the film. He kneels down. Now there's like 400 people all together in this restaurant, outside, inside. It's huge, and you hear all the waiters go, "Shh." You know, you hear like 27 shushes going on, and they're like, "Hey, shut!" You know, and so it is. You can hear a pin drop. He kneels down just like this. He takes the mic in his hand. He takes her hand. He says, "Katie Erwin, you were the first girl I ever kissed and you will be the last. Will you be my wife? On the tape, and so every girl just goes, oh. On the tape, all you hear is my wife going, oh. She goes from whimpering to like sounding like a cow in labor. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it is touching. And of course she says yes, and then they were like the stars of the week. I mean, everyone went, dude, that was the guy who proposed. We are so screwed. You know, and every guy's like, that is awesome. Every girl's going, see what a good guy does? See? Where's my ring? And so it was a pretty cool thing. They've been married 7 years. Will they be married for 35? I sure hope so. But I can tell you this, that in their relationship, they understood the difference between healthy and unhealthy relationship, and they tried to work towards having a healthy relationship. And that's how it works in a storybook finish. Thanks so much.